It is abominable for a nation to compel its elderly people to speak publicly about their health in demanding for their own money. That is the observation of former Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Kojo Osam, as he joins pensioners on day 6 of their picketing.
The whole world is health challenges. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not righteous. That's not kind for a country to do.
Picketing expected at the Finance Ministry as individual bondholders inform police of their intention to picket for 4 days starting on the 20th to demand that government honors its obligation to bondholders.
This is going to make a huge difference. You know, this is coming on the back of our liberation by Chief Justice Sophia Kufu. You see, she gave us an impetus by coming to demonstrate, by picketing. So we are taking off from there. Look, Mr. Asante, it's not a joke. When we picket for 5 days, it's going to galvanize more support for our cause.
Also in this bulletin, widow whose husband died after police allegedly shot him in the head at Abokobi Akpoman says vengeance is the Lord's.
God is the person who's going to judge, not me. And not him, any human will judge him. It's God.
It is abominable for a nation to compel the elderly to speak publicly about their health in demanding for their own money. That's the words of an obsessed former Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Kojo Osam. Professor Osam joined pensioners this morning to picket the Ministry of Finance to continue the demand for exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. According to Professor Osam, the decision to allow the elderly to suffer this fate is abominable. There is more on the day 6 activities in the following report. It is day 6 of the picketing at the Ministry of Finance. Pensioners may have weak bodies, but they are strong-willed, promising never to back. For 1 hour daily, they besiege the office of the Finance Minister to remind him that they want to be exempted from the domestic debt exchange program. The big picketer of the day is the former Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Kojo Osam. He also describes the situation of senior citizens picketing daily as abominable.
Why should we as a country get to the stage where an elderly man like him has to tell the whole world his health challenges? That's not right. That's not fair. That's not righteous. That's not kind for a country to do. It's abominable. It's an abomination.
Another picketer, a former General Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Charles Fojo Ajiman, who is not a retiree, also joined the pensioners to press home their demands.
If we believe that they have a good cause, we should be joining them. And we should show a good cause to them that, yes, we support their cause. And I believe that, and as a matter of principle, I don't think that as a nation, we should let the aged who have carefully planned their pension to depend on their pension returns to be the ones whose money will be used.
Professor Osam called on the government to listen to growing calls to exempt pensioners.
You think I'll advise my children to invest in anything government? Of course not, I won't. I won't, because I say, well, you can go ahead and do it, but remember that it's risky. And nobody can convince me that, as I said, I'm not a finance expert, I'm not an economist, but right now, nobody can convince me in this country that investing in anything government is not risky.
Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta has, however, not changed his position. He wants pensioners to sacrifice to save the economy.
The challenge that we have is that we have an economic crisis.
But last Friday, former Chief Justice of the Republic, Justice Sophia Akufo described this position as rude.
I find this wicked, I find it disrespectful, I find it unlawful, I find it totally wrong, period.
An 81-year-old retired medical doctor also appealed to the government.
Nobody would look after me. I lost my wife. I live alone. Who will look after me? That means government wants me to get rid of me.
Since the government is said to have achieved the set 80% subscription target for the program, the pensioners are hopeful the finance minister will exempt them.
I expect him to just say the pensioners has been exempted. He will be giving an update on what has happened, the results, fine. But I expect a statement to come because at this time, you can't get us into the program. Okay. It's close. You can't get. Maybe previously he was standing on his grounds thinking that some people would come under, but now it's over. Okay. So we just have to exempt it. And we don't want to be self-exempt people, no.
But until then, the pensioners return on Tuesday to continue with the picketing. James Kwesi Aveji's report read to you. Now, Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana are also set to picket the Finance Ministry to demand that government honors its obligation on bonds that are falling due. Last week, bonds worth more than 4 billion cedis matured, but the government is yet to pay, with some analysts warning government may have defaulted. The Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana says this is completely unacceptable and will picket the Finance Ministry for 4 days, starting Monday, 20th February. Kweku Asante has more in the following report.
So after several hours of meeting here at the Greater Accra Region Police Command, the police have finally agreed that the Individual Bondholders Forum cannot go ahead and picket to demand that the Finance Ministry honor their obligations under the bond agreements that these individuals have with government. We know that last week, some of the bonds fell due. Government has not honored it still. According to lawyer Martin Kwebu and Dr. Akwete, who are leading the organization, they want government to know that this is not something they are going to allow, and that if government does not come out clearly stating exactly on what terms they are going to pay them, they will keep picketing at the Finance Ministry.
Okay, so technically we're not going on the same path. What we're simply asking of government is to honor the bonds that are due. Because before we went into the DDE program, we had an understanding that it's a voluntary process. And so government is expected that if one opts out, their coupons are honored. And so we are going strictly according to the documents we have and the assurance we had before this DDE program that all voluntary bondholders will not be penalized. They will be honored. And so that's just what we want. So we're not asking for anything out of what is due us, that's all.
Over the past week, the pensioners bondholders themselves have also been picketing at the Finance Ministry. They had such a boost when they were joined by former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo. It does not seem to have made any difference, but this group thinks that this will now make a difference.
This is going to make a huge difference. You know, this is coming on the back of our liberation by Chief Justice Sophia Akufo. You see, she gave us an impetus by coming to demonstrate, by picketing. So we are taking off from there. Look, Mr. Asante, it's not a joke. When we picket for 5 days, it's going to galvanize more support for our cause, because this is a cause that we must win at all costs, which is that individuals must be exempt. And government took a good step by saying they will honor existing bonds. So we're hoping that eventually then they will come to exemption, because, Mr. Asante, the point is that government is not presenting the agreement today to the IMF. They still have some time. Even if it were Friday, they can ask the IMF to give them some time to redraw the, the program, the debt exchange program, so that they specifically say individual bondholders are exempt. So we have a lot of time on our hands. And we believe that this picketing will help galvanize support for our cause.
Your point of view, the ministry has said that this is not compulsory, this is voluntary. So you can self-exempt and just expect that they will pay you when your bonds fall due. Why are you still insisting that they give you specific instructions that says that you are exempted?
Yes, Mr. Asante, that is better security. Saying individual bondholders are exempt is better security. Having seen that, as we speak now, some bonds matured on the 6th of February. That was last Monday. About 4.2 billion. The actual figure is 4,185 million. But let's round it up to 4.2 billion. Government hasn't paid, and government hasn't had the courtesy to even talk to us, to even say anything about when that money will be paid. So you see some of the disadvantages when government doesn't use the word exempt. So government needs to communicate with us. As we speak now, the failure to pay that money is causing some of our members palpitations, sleepless nights, so much uncertainty, harrowing pain, because people don't know when they will be paid.
Reporting from the Greater Accra Region Police Headquarters here in Accra, Kweku Asante for Joy News.
Now, my colleague from the research desk here at Joy News, Isaac Kofi J, joins me in studio with some details. Now, Kofi, we're learning that the target set by government, they wanted 80%. That has been achieved. How did we get here? What details do we know of that?
Well, so the target was at least 80%. So if you set a target, this is the minimum, the threshold actually.
Okay.
So the 80%
so it's the minimum.
The minimum that government wants to attain and deem this whole debt exchange as successful.
Okay. We
understand, and sources tell us that they've actually been able to achieve more than this 80% target that they are looking for. So how come government was able to achieve the 80% when we've had several groups coming out to say they will not subscribe? Let's look at the next slide and we'll see that the first group to actually give government their consent that they are actually going to participate in this domestic debt exchange was the Ghana Association of Bankers. They were the first. They did that based on certain conditions. The first condition was that government was supposed to pay them 5% coupon rate instead of the 0% that government wanted to do at the initial stage. And then they also said that the government should scrap any clause in the amendments in the domestic debt exchange document or the law governing this whole exchange, that government can solely or unilaterally decide on certain things that can probably affect them without their input. That was number one. The same thing was the Ghana Association of Insurers. They also came on board based on the same assumptions and based on the same conditions, actually, as we say. The Ghana security industries also on this same condition that the bankers reached with the government. They also came on board to actually, be part of the debt exchange program. Now, we are getting this more than 80% participation because of these three groups that we see on the smart wall right now. And then some individual bondholders we are learning that are, nicodemously, subscribing signing on to the debt exchange. But majority of them, especially those who are retirees, are saying that government should give them 100% exemption. They do not want any quote-unquote better offer from the government. They don't want any, 10%, 15%. They cannot let go of the 3% or 5%. They don't want any haircut in this situation because the president had actually assured them in October 2022 that there will be no haircut. And if you hear of any haircut, you should regard it as rumors. Now, the retirees are saying that government or presidents, you said this, you gave us this assurance in October. Please help us. Don't include us into this as part of this debt exchange.
So once the government has achieved 80%, which was the minimum, and we learned that more than that, why are they still not then coming out to say that the pensioner bondholders and the individual bondholders have been exempted?
Well, if you look at what the finance minister about 2 weeks ago, when he actually gave he spoke to the public and he said that you can actually self-exempt. But individual bondholders, especially the retirees, are saying they don't want self-exemption because the finance minister made mention, he said that we cannot guarantee the tradability of your bonds. Okay. That is the condition that they do not want to find themselves in, that I am out of the program, I do not know the future of my bonds. I want government to come out the way it came out to say that pension funds, 100%, exempted. They want the same thing. Now, if you look at this chart, Brace, we've been tracking, the debt exchange program. About 31 billion of bonds to be restructured will mature this year. So if you look at 2023,
31 billion.
Over 31 billion that we're talking about. You heard Martin people saying that government actually had to, default on about 4.4 billion Ghana cedis. If you look at the graph, this shows. So if you look at February alone, we are looking at close to 7.6 billion Ghana cedis that government is supposed to pay. This is just the principal. We're not even talking about interest. So if you look at March, government is supposed to pay 4.91 billion as principal again. Then it declines to 1.21 billion, then 1.3, 1.5. Then we have about 8 billion in September. Will drop to 2 billion in November. Then at the dying numbers of the year or at the ending of the year, government will pay close to 3.6 billion. This is just interest. Now go back to the 2023 budget and you realize that government, if government is not successful with the domestic debt exchange program, is going to pay close to 52 billion Ghana cedis as just interest payments. Now, of these 52 billion Ghana cedis we're talking about 31 billion will go into payment of interest on domestic bonds. So the amount we're talking about here is so huge for government that if the restructuring is not successful, it will be very, very difficult to proceed and get the 3 billion IMF program. But mind you, if you're watching us at home, government has been able to achieve the 80% because we have bankers on board, insurance companies on board, and securities, and some individual bondholders.
So this 3 billion will give us around some 30, 33, 34 billion Ghana cedis. And we have to pay how much this year?
So we have to pay 52 billion. That's the total.
Which means that if without the restructuring, the IMF money cannot even help us.
It will just be a drop in the ocean because if the 52 billion Ghana cedis, 21 billion for external debt service and interest payments, then 31 billion for domestic, So if you look at 31 billion Ghana cedis and you ask yourself, and the kind of situation we find ourselves in, governments will find it very, very difficult. But they have three options in the restructuring process that we're talking about. We've been focusing more on the debt. But mind you, governments can restructure. We have one that we call the fiscal adjustments, the structural adjustments, and then we have the debt restructuring. So government can focus on fiscal adjustments. The individual bondholders have given government so many alternatives. Say if you follow what we've given to you, you can save about 85 or 82 billion cedis. In terms of fiscal expenditure in 2023. So
interesting.
There you have it.
So this is the health of our debt, and if nothing is done
about it,
it means that this year alone.
But Brace, before we even started this debt exchange, it was around 300 billion. Now our debt level is over 575 billion Ghana cedis. It keeps growing. It keeps growing. We have to do something real.
It means that government really has to get this through. Else, as you see there from the presentation by Kofi, it will be difficult for government to honor, the payment of even maturing bonds and interest on them as well. Thank you so much, Kofi. Now, you're still watching Joy News Prime. Moving on to other stories. Elias Ojo Ajete Enum, a victim of police brutality who was shot in the head in 2018, but yet miraculously survived, has died and finally been laid to rest. Ojo's dead wish was for the police to investigate and punish the perpetrator who shot him at Abokobi Akpoman when he tried settling a dispute. In a follow-up of a Joy News documentary, As If We Weren't Human, features editor Jojo Kobina caught up with the widow, Deborah Ajele, who says the justice system has failed her, so she is now looking up to God.
The story of Elias Ojo Ajete Enum is bizarre. In May 2018, the police had a disagreement with Ojo's brother, so he tried settling the issue. Suddenly, one of the policemen's guns went off, sending a bullet from one side of his face to the other. Ojo survived, but became paralyzed. He lost his speech, and the nerves in his legs were also affected.
Ojo Baby, I saw Kalaway. I'm not saying the so. In the nation, it's all. Many one nation. Into an amount. Amount, no more. I report there. I want no more. No, I said, I'm in jail.
Kojo almost lost all his memory. He could not remember his wife and children, but he said he could identify the policeman who shot him. He promised never to let go of the case, so he held on, but gave up in January 2023. His children mourn him for the last time. Kojo's wife, Deborah, says her tears are finished. She had been crying since 2018.
I don't know what to do to myself. No matter how you cry, or the person has gone already, so nothing else to do about it.
6 months before Kojo died, he could not remember his wife.
Sometimes he can't recognize me. He will be asking me, who am I? Then the next time, when I ask him, who am I will tell him that I'm his wife. But sometimes when you ask him, he said he don't know me. But sometimes when I ask him, he said I'm his wife. That's what we have been. So I've been introducing myself and asking him that maybe does he know that he have kids. This lady who he say is my kid, and this one too, they are my kids. And so sometimes when you ask him something, he reply to you, but sometimes he will never mind you.
Members of the Presbyterian Church Apoman gathered to mourn the man who was part of them. The police had indeed dealt them a big blow. His 2 children who grew up not knowing their father. When Joy News contacted the police before the airing of the documentary in 2018, they declined interviews. In 2019, some police officials visited Kojo, promising to investigate the issue, but they never did.
Peace be I'm a 2. I'm a baby and I got more quick with me. I'm Baslale. I'm a guy, Yashi, and Bana Moni Chatun, can boy say Banaba Chatun. And no say, never make a maba. I may remember. For brother's sake, Mambi, I mean, Yamisa, still and no one.
Kojo lies in a casket and begins his journey to the unknown world. He is placed 6 feet down the earth.
Well, it is indeed a very tragic event here. Elias is finally being buried. But when he was alive, he had one wish. The wish was for police authorities to investigate and find the person who shot him, investigate and also punish the person. He's now gone, and his family are yearning for that justice, where the person who shot him is identified and given the required punishment.
The head of the family is calling on the police to give the family closure.
Through this your medium, I'm pleading with you. I'm pleading with you. I know how this our man, the IGP, Dampari, so I'm pleading through this your medium to help us find justice to our brother. That's all that I need from you. Please. Whatever you can assist to arrest this perpetrator who perpetrated this horrible incident. Look at him. My brother, I'm being short of words. So please, if you can also assist so that we can find the culprit who did this particular thing.
God is the person who's going to judge, not me. And not him, any human will judge him. It's God.
Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
This is completely saddening there now. Away from that, one illegal miner has been left injured after some police officers stationed at Asanko Gold Mines allegedly shot him in a renewed clash. 24-year-old Joseph Mensah from Abrim in the Amansia South District of the Ashanti region suffered a fracture and injuries on his stomach. Now, he was rushed to the Agroyesum St. Martin's Hospital, where he is currently responding to treatment. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
The miner, together with many others, invaded the Akwasiso pit of the company to steal some gold-bearing materials. According to the firm, the police attempt to stop the youth resulted in a confrontation that required officers to fire warning shots, leaving one of the youth injured. The firm said the police officers had no choice but to defend themselves as the youth were allegedly carrying machetes and cutlasses. Acting General Manager of Asanko Mines, Ahmed Mohideen Yahya, said 2 of the illegal miners were arrested following the confrontation.
GBM gold-bearing material in the pit, which is not allowed. So in the course of that, they had interaction with the security, and they threatened with machetes to slash any policeman who dare even come close to them. So the police felt threatened, their lives were in danger, so they had to take an action. So in the course of that, they had to fire a shot that hit one of the Galamsey operators, and he was arrested. 2 additional guys were also arrested. We took them to the police station. The one who got injured got treated and was handed over to the police. So more or less it's like a backlash from the community, the Galamsey activities, because they felt it was a right to also mine where we are mining, and that is a huge concern for us.
The youth became angry, mobilized, attacked and vandalized the company's vehicles, with one of their tipper trucks bent.
Normally close to about 40 came to vandalize our security post, and they headed towards where this car was parked to set on fire. They went ahead to block other trucks that were hauling all to this point, and they vandalized 2 additional trucks on it. So that's the bent car. You see the 2 additional trucks. We've moved them out of here to the yard to be fixed. They are for our subcontractors. That's a Blodge and AKL.
Mr. Yaya noted that the mining company is surrounded by 25 communities and that it will be impossible to employ all the people in those areas as expected.
We can't employ everybody. We cannot employ everybody. We have about 25 communities around. So whatever job we have, we spread across. And it's not everybody that can have opportunity of working on the mine. So we do our best. But this is an issue, even if you ask them to go and do farming, they felt this was a lucrative business. Doing Galamsey was lucrative for them. So whatever work you give them, some too we do even employ them. They come and work within 1 or 2 months. They felt, look, if I'm going to Galamsey, I get more money. Why don't I go and do my Galamsey? So it's a big issue, not a question of unemployment, which you can. We do our best to employ them, but we can't employ everybody.
The assembly member for the Abrim electoral area, Amo Edward, however, said the attitude of the company towards the community folks is unfair and unacceptable.
That's the last 2 years, we moved between on Yamsa, and me and I'm a corner on channel, a group, a G, a question. Omutimichi will be no mabuno. And Cobebia, and to win us in a Buapasha, our my someone causing moons in his BT, na Adeno, baby, a you know one now, Ugani or Mkobunu 2 or no. And I be Biaquanya say, I didn't see Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. But a cobas of a penya daji, and as we yan crazy abon a butcher and a year, 2:30 and San Omodia Craneman Denaba Hospital. No more keeping with human weapons, Mukumakurano. And the idea.
According to him, the youth were only trying to process some of the waste products left by the company, but came under attack.
You waste, Omona Beckham, but all the Koha, Omona signpost was a waste dime. And here waste will be a cool, and ɛna sɛ yɛ kwan sɛ yɛ wa oni tua ɛhɔ ne yɛ kɔ sɛ wɔn sɛ monko waste dam ho na monko sɛ bi na momfa mɛfɛle nti akora na kɔ sɛ wonim sɛ yɛ waste because mansi mu wɔ na ankasa wonya kwan nkɔ apart from one or mobile acquisition and dear and painful Mrs. Same painful in movie because baby I don't want to say penny be a maquia lipanin to minko. It's a mono agreement. Let's say drew baby as a kutiama and no mama police for an abemono. And the same painful person idea almost on yet right way and also one idea Emma friends and crown because me what Jim Zika say one mamoska I let him be father no mabanagas or my memfa.
The district chief executive for Mansia South District, Clement Opoku Jemfi, said the assembly is considering measures to bring lasting peace between the company and the communities. He said steps are being intensified to continue engagements with the youth, including chiefs of the various communities, to settle the situation.
Wherever there is lawlessness and lawfulness, I should always be on the side of lawfulness. However, I mean, these young folks are within our communities, so there will be round table discussions that will not take away the fact that there should be investigations to that effect and the criminal aspects will be dealt with. We can probably deal with the civil issues, but issues pertaining to the criminalities or otherwise of it, that is not up to me, the chief executive, to go into it. That would be so bad to be doing. But for the civil aspects and their demands, both from the company and from the community folks, that we can come back to the drawing table and then decide on what to do. Let me reiterate that the criminal aspects of this whole issue, I will not go into it. I'll leave that for the police service to deal with it. And whoever it's found will be dealt with according to the law.
Mr. Jemfi urged the youth to remain calm as their grievances will be appropriately addressed. Reports by Mohammed Nuruddin.
This is Join News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Now, the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, says the dip in power supply in recent times is as a result of the altering of their systems at Galamsey site and the old legacy machines that need replacement. According to Gridco, substantial funding has been received to enable them reconstruct many of their old legacy lines in order to guarantee a more stable supply of power in the country. Speaking at the Meet the Press series at the Information Ministry, Chief Executive Officer of Gridco, Ebenezer Kofi Asienyi, indicated that the recent commissioning of 3 substations will help guarantee stable power supply.
And we need to count on you to let us educate our brothers whose farms these lines go through, so that if there are trees that are in their farm, we may have to cut them. It will impact a little on some of their cocoa trees. It is not with bad intention, but it is for the good of all of us. That's why we do those things. You can see the picture that shows where a line passes. It's quite challenging. Some of the lines go through very thick forest, extremely thick. And the reason is that we also try to minimize the cutting or going through the forest without opening it up too much. That leads to those who go and illegally harvest the timber. So we blend the two in the way we do our things. Galamsey, I don't know whether the gold has started to normally form around the base of our towers. It's becoming a problem for us where Galamseyers consciously dig under our lines. There are challenges where we needed to go and relocate the tower at an additional cost. The one that was working so well, but you can see that the line guys will come and tell us that tower is collapsing because, or some of the steel members have been removed by the galamseyers, because I understand they use it to do whatever in their tunnels. I've never been to any of the tunnels, so I don't know how they do it, but that's what I understand. These are things that we need to let our brothers and sisters appreciate, that this infrastructure are there for our collective good and we need to protect them. Occasionally, as a power system, we normally have some challenges. Normally, when you see the lines, you don't see the fire on them, but they are extremely dangerous. Extremely. They are quiet, but they are extremely dangerous. And therefore, when we make the case that, look, we need to stay off the right of way because of challenges.
Now, despite the current economic hardship in the country, David Nibokete, an amputee father of 3, has developed his own way of hawking in the street to earn some money to cater for his family. He says rather than being pitied and given a handout because of his physical disability, he wants to be a leading water distributor in the country. There's more in this report.
It's quite an unusual scene. A man in crutches chasing after a truck to sell to his customers. Meet David Bokete. He does not want to be pitied and given a handout because of his physical disability. David says he hustles daily to put food on the table for his family and also to teach his children to own up to their responsibility as they grow up. He lost his leg when he was 5 years old. David says a government hospital in Accra injected him with the wrong dose of medication and his leg stopped functioning.
It happened at the age of 5, when I was at the age of 5 at 37 Military Hospital. I was not feeling fine and my parents took me to the hospital to take some medication. But long run, the injection they gave me was a wrong injection and this caused a damage to the leg. Because my dad was like, it happens as happens, at least there's life and there's always hope.
He battled discrimination from his childhood. He recalled that his mates mocked him. But that has not changed as he endures several forms of discrimination, including being refused job offers because of his disability. When he finished senior secondary school, he started selling phone chargers and other accessories in the Accra Central Business District until he decided to hawk water in traffic.
It has not been easy at all with this situation. A lot of discrimination everywhere. Even in my own family, there were a lot of discrimination. But with hope and with a strong mind, I was able to overcome it one by one. After my secondary school, I sold in Mokola. I sold false clothes. I sell for some people like phone chargers, phone accessories. Then at the end of the day, I return the sales back to them. But it got to a point, I got a job, which I have to leave those things. But when COVID-19 came in, we were all laid off from the job. I was looking for a job after the COVID. And I went to this company to look for a job. And the security man told me that they don't employ disability in their company. I felt so bad that day, I was crying. And I said, what can I do to make people believe in disabilities, that we have the strength in us? So I went back home. I started thinking over it. So the thought of bottled water came into my mind that people drink water every day. There's no day that nobody cannot drink water. So how am I going to sell this water outside there?
He's doing good. He's forcing. If the car is going cry, he's forcing to chase the car. Yes, today cry, he was fighting with one of us here. That's the customer call him. It's not the one.
David's dream is to expand his business and become a main distributor of bottled water. He believes with hard work and determination, his dream will come true. He advised the unemployed to be innovative, identify the needs in society, and provide services to make money.
Even though people in the traffic, some of them will then dash me money. Some will say they don't want the water, they will just dash me money, that they like what I'm doing. So it has been so good, but we are just praying that we want to expand. I want to expand it more. Getting a bigger shop, because most of the companies around here in Manet here, I supply them water in their offices. There's one thing I always tell people, the way you present yourself is the way people will take you. If you present yourself as a beggar, people will take you as a beggar. I could have chosen that, but I look at myself that I will not allow my fellow human beings to look down on me, because I'm also a human being. Because there's one thing that some Ghanaians has at the back of their mind, that if they are moving with a disability person, that the curse on them will fall upon them. Because they believe that a disability person is someone that has been cursed by God, but they are facing the consequences. So the issue there is, you need to determine that this is what I want. Determination is the most important key in this disability race. Everybody has their own challenges or the other. And I used to tell people, it's not everybody that has two arms, 2 legs, that is complete, that is an able person. Some of them are disability also. So it takes determination for them to.
He prays for better days ahead. Elisha Panfo's report, read to you.
Now, his neighbors never understood his resolve to collect heaps of plastic waste in their community, thinking he was mentally deranged. But they would later find out that he is building a fortress for his home against the harsh weather conditions. Jonas Zomelo, a native of Kewuno in the Adan East District of the Greater Accra region, goes about daily fetching empty plastic bottles in an attempt to rid his small village, which is already reeling under impact of rising sea levels of plastic pollution. Emmanuel Bright Kweku caught up with a carpenter who is poised to erect a tourist attraction with plastics in his village.
Amidst the clustered settlement along the Volta River in Kewuno sits this well-crafted fence protecting a thatched house. The fence is designed and constructed with empty plastic bottles on a bamboo framework. As he welcomed a team of budding West African climate change journalists into his new home, Jonas Zomelo, the developer, explained the increasing plastic pollution at the community informed his innovation.
I'll be saying it's a waste on the environment. And I decided to use some technology for it. So I'm not changing the form to this one. Okay. So the idea just came there. I just went on YouTube. Then I saw some people to adding some.
A carpenter is conventionally known to be adept at using wood for his designs and constructions, but Jonas has a living irony to the woodcraft specialty. Realizing the detrimental effect of plastic waste on the environment, he added on the skill to reuse plastic waste from the beaches and behind the homes of his neighbors for a variety of artworks and buildings. It takes Jonas close to 24 hours to interlock the bottles and erect them as a fence.
Thinking of it, how to manage to do it. So if you see it, you can see that place. I've used rope for it. Then I decided, no, let me change the plan. So this one. So I'm planning to use most technology to try. First, I have a room here, a room bar. I scatter it and I want to use the same technology.
Okay.
So
residents of Kewuno endure the sweltering weather conditions with rising sea levels, which is gradually eroding their lands. The coastal village lacks a well-established waste management system, forcing residents to discard domestic waste behind their homes until they bulge into a pile of garbage mixed with sand. It is not a deliberate decision to dirty the community, but rather an interim solution to control flooding in the area.
When the water is flowing, you realize that it will flow and then it will build the arc, like the way they've covered the place, and to come this way, which means that if this is extended towards this place, the water will not affect it.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do they do it normally?
You just put the woods there and then start dumping.
However, this local solution could contribute to exacerbating the woes of residents in the community. They hope the local government authority would furnish them with a proper waste disposal mechanism. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Well, here in the studio, I am Samuel Kojo. We'll take a quick break. We'll bring you Showbiz. All right, so welcome to Showbiz, and the queen of it, you know, Becky Bex is already here. Hiya, Becky.
Hello to you, Brace. How you doing?
I'm well. Yourself?
I'm fantastic. But
you know, today is World Radio Day.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm so sad that I don't have like pictures to show or to commemorate the day. But Brace, let's start on a very sad note. Let's talk about AKA Moses Tembi, the father of Anela Tembi, the late girlfriend of slain rapper Kenan, AKA Forbes, said on Saturday the family was pained and shocked by his brutal murder. The prominent businessman said in a statement, quote, "It is with deepest shock that we've learned of the passing of Kenan." Tembi said, as a parent, he felt, quote, "deep pain for Forbes' parents, Tony and Lynn, his daughter Cairo, and the extended family." Quote, "Kenan was an extraordinary, talented musician. His music contributed meaningfully to South Africa's rich musical tapestry. We extend our condolences to his extended family and his fans. May his soul rest in perfect peace." But let's move away from that and talk about another rapper. He's not dead, please. Love you too. But Brace, let's go straight to Kumasi because something happened there. It was a place to be as patrons of the Osei Invasion 2023 experience, a time of their lives. Patron dance away to the exciting tunes and performances by some of Ghana's greatest.
Medical,
the bills, as patrons were thrilled by some of Ghana's finest music talents, led by Shatta Wale and Medical. Shatta Wale, after his performance, entreated the supporters to prepare for a greater 2023.
Osei is a place like a home to me, you know, because anytime I come here, they like to support me and they like to, you know, just patronize in whatever I do. And I just want to say, I love everybody in Osei. Well, a whole lot of things. I'm dropping EPs, you know, I'm doing some collaborations, opening a few businesses around because I still want to do business. So after Shaxi, there is a business coming up, so watch out.
So that's what you missed. Another thing that you missed, I was actually, you know, hoping that I will bring that tomorrow because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. What am I even talking about? Talking about Valentine's. Let's talk about Kwabna's Vitamilk Love concert. If you haven't seen that, well, you've got highlights.
Love Night with Kwabna. Kwabna entreated patrons at the National Theatre on Saturday, 11th of February, to almost all his 5 albums. He didn't do this alone. He had his friends, Samini, Aquabua, Ethia,
when the morning sun shines across my room, I wake up another
Sefa, Mr. Drew, and the legendary Pat Thomas, all on stage to thrill the patrons.
Which one are you singing? Relax. Which one are you singing? Is it
I was on
the
TV.
part?
Hey, I didn't know. I mean, you make my...
Well, before we go,
I was singing
Kwabena
MP
MP.
song. Yeah.
We love you, Kwabena MP. But let's talk about Rihanna because she's having another baby number 2.
No, I mean, Charlie, you do good.
Thank you.
You do good.
You.
Maybe Rihanna has to feature you one of these days.
You know,
Anyway.
these people are thinking.
Okay, so that's it. But you know what? So my friend called Abraham of Southeast Dock Labor. He's the CEO there.
Okay.
He says he likes your moves.
Oh, well,
yeah, when he comes to Accra, we'll meet him.
Listen, tomorrow is Valentine's Day.
So do something, huh?
Honey, you guys should have to surprise me or something.
All right, and that's how,
me.
on this note, that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. We're so grateful that you could join us and spend your time with us here. Remember, there's more news on myjoyonline.com. Coming up next is Beverly Broom with Prime Business. Okay. My name is Becky.